gonna be unfiltered, it's gonna be raw.
My two cents.
Hi everybody, and welcome back to my YouTube channel, my two cents. Whoop 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 whoop. Yes, thank you guys so much for watching. If you are new to my YouTube channel, just so you know, this is one of the best YouTube channels out there, and that is because I'm going to be giving a lot of commentary on pop culture, but I'm going to be teaching you guys lessons about marketing and brand strategy as well. Why is that important? Well, if you're an entrepreneur or a YouTuber, or someone just starting their own business, don't you want people to love your brand, love your product without even trying? Or if you are someone that stays up until midnight waiting for that Beyonce album to drop, then this is the channel for you. I'm gonna talk to you guys about why you love what you love and do the things that you do. So go ahead and subscribe. Go ahead. All right, so you probably came to watch this video because you are either currently watching the show Black AF, you are debating watching the show Black AF, you heard the show Black AF sucks, or you thought that I was talking about myself and how I'm Black AF. Well, you got three of those four things correct. I am going to be talking about the show Black AF on Netflix and some things that I learned about brand strategy from watching it. So first, let me tell you a little bit about the show without giving away any spoilers. The show follows around the writer, producer, and I guess actor Kenya Barris and his wife and 6 kids, but these are all actors, but it's based off of his real life. And you know, in the show, he is himself, and he is this super successful, you know, producer. He's, you know, very interconnected in the industry, and so he's very wealthy, and he has these kids, and they're all reaping the benefits of this in our current day and age. There's about 6 of them, 3 boys and 3 girls, and they are, because the family is extremely wealthy in the show, these kids are extremely rich and assimilated to this lifestyle. And from their mannerisms and certain things, a lot of people feel that they might not act like what a Black AF family should act like, in a sense. So that is where we and I guess you will see there's different scenarios and things like that. I think only the daughter who brings up, you know, parallels between things in society and things that happen in Black history. Do you feel like there's that, you know, Black culture really in the show? So a lot of people saw the title Black AF and, you know, thought it was really going to resonate with like this very honed-in Black family, and the main character's wife, so Kenya's wife, she is biracial and is very fair-skinned. So from a first glance, you're like, okay, some people might say, okay, she is not what I would think of. I'm thinking about Black AF, but she is actually, in real life, she is biracial. Rashida Jones is Quincy Jones's daughter. So I think it's cool that the show is showing that, you know, us as the Black people, we're very multifaceted. We come in all different shades, and you can be Black and not necessarily at first glance, people might not think you are. And in real life, his wife is biracial and probably deals with the same things as well as the character. The show also is very similar if you watch the show Blackish, where it ties in, you know, different things we learn in historical Black history, you know, different lessons, and mirrors that throughout the plot of the show. So that is kind of what the show is about. And it's been a lot of people talking about how they feel that the title is misleading and doesn't match the, you know, what we thought we would have in terms of in the Black community as a show titled Black AF. If you grew up in a time where the Cosby Show came out or a different world, you know, people kind of thought that those elements of those shows would have came into play, and are feeling that it did not, and it doesn't match the title.
Well, let me give you guys the conversation attached to the show Black is right now, man. You know, Black Twitter took to the internet and you know, gave the show quite the lashing, feeling like that it wasn't really Black enough.
Well, Charlemagne on The Breakfast Club is another person that mentioned he would not be watching it as well. And you know, that is what we are seeing at this point, is the title of this show having this not matching what people feel like the content would be. So yeah, so I will say you should watch the show for yourself, but I definitely see a lot of good lessons to be learned from this. First and foremost, it shows a lot about naming and packaging. If you're a brand and you're creating a new product or service or something, you know, you gotta name it, you gotta package it, and there's a lot of thought that goes into this. You know, there's a reason why, you know, certain liquor bottles are tall and slender and others are smaller and rounder. There are reasons why, fast food restaurants have red in their color scheme to really accentuate urgency. And there's a reason why Visa is called Visa and Uber has the name Uber, and even why Amazon picked the name Alexa for their virtual assistant. So depending on, naming and coloring, you can really exude an emotion with your consumer, and it's really something that you should think out. It's really important for you to know who your target consumer is, to know how that name is going to affect them. So with this Black AF, I feel that there was thought of the name, but it might not have been to the extent of the target consumer. It might have been more so positioned in terms of the Kenya Barris brand. So when you look at Blackish, Mixedish, and Grownish, there is a level of consistency. So that brings me to my second point about consistency being key. So consistency is key because if you are a brand, you definitely want to be consistent so that people can, get to know you, get to build that bond and that relationship with you. And so there's consistency with the naming. And I think that Kenya went a different route with Black AF because it's on Netflix, which is a platform where you have more ability to be more raw, explicit, instead of being on a national network and a sitcom where there's more rules and regulations. I think he wanted to make sure that, it's going to be unfiltered, it's going to be raw, but so it's going to be AF, not an ish thing. It's not going to be kind of ishy. When you look at Grownish, it's like, okay, Zoe is going into adulthood going into college. So she's going into adulthood. So she's grown a little ish. And then when you look at Blackish, it's like, okay, you got this show where you have this Black family, but they're in this new day and age. And, certain things that other Black families might have went through, they are not experiencing. And so that's like the ish part of it. And then when you look at Mixed-ish, you have this biracial couple that has these kids. So the kids are mixed, but the parents aren't. So it's like that mixed-ish kind of thing going on. So you see the consistency with the ishes. And then I think Kenya was like, I'm going to keep the Black, the root. How there's Blackish and Black AF. I'm going to keep the root of the name. And then instead of adding ish, I'm going to put AF because it's going to be on Netflix. So who knows? Maybe he'll come out with Mixed AF or something like that. But I think that he was still trying to be consistent in a way, but different as well. And that brings me to my third point. When we think about, bringing out a new product or service under your brand, it's difficult because you want to stay true to your brand, you want to stay true to the value and mission, but then you still have to be a little bit different. So if you watched my last video where I talked about the essence of brand personality and how, artists like Drake, and Megan Thee Stallion, they do this, but it's still, when they add something new onto it, it's still a little bit different, but still consistent. So that is kind of where the tug of war comes in sometimes with branding, is that you need to be the same but different, so that people know that it's from your brand, but then it's still different in a sense too. We're not getting the same exact thing. So I feel that Kenya Barris sees this tug of war, and we saw that with the consistency in the content of Black AF, but then we saw the differentiation in the title of Black AF. Some people though did not feel that they liked that difference and felt like they might not feel that they tie as much to his brand because of it. And then the fourth thing I pulled from this is, of course, publicity. Yay! So when we think about publicity, it's a huge plus to build brand awareness. For people to know your brand, you got publicity, but it costs money. And in this case, there's a lot of controversy attached to this show, and so it's free publicity in a way. And if you go back to my video about Teddy Riley versus Babyface, I did talk about using free publicity to your advantage. And in this sense, Kenya Barris can do that. Yes, it's controversy, but at the end of the day, it's still publicity. People are talking about how they're not watching the show, and curiosity kills. So people gonna be like, maybe I should watch the show because he's saying it sucks, but maybe it doesn't suck. Or, that's just, more buzz. So in terms of building a brand, it's great to have publicity, especially with something new. It's really good to have that too. Even Kenya Barris had to chime in and talk about this brand too. and the controversy around it. So that was a way of him giving publicity to it as well. So those are the 4 things that I pulled from this. And while you guys were just watching the show or not watching it, I was observing, you know, because we got a lot of time on our hands. But those are the 4 things I pulled. And I think you should decide if you should watch it or not watch it. If you think that Kenya Bear stayed true to his brand, if he's going far left with Black AF, it's up to you. But I think that a lot of good lessons were learned, and I definitely enjoyed it as well. So those are all things that I wanted to talk about this week. And if you have not yet subscribed, please subscribe, please like this video, and please comment whether you like the show or not, or anything else that you found interesting while watching it too. But that's all I have, and until next time, peace.